Every American president has a story that the history books don't tell you. You've heard about their victories and failures. But what about the moments that make you stop and say, wait, that actually happened? Let's dive into the weirdest, most unbelievable facts about every U.S. president. And trust me, by the time we reach the modern ones, you'll question reality itself. George Washington, the first president, is remembered as a symbol of honesty. But did you know he had fake teeth made from hippo ivory? Not wood, like many believe. He even had gold and lead teeth. Imagine running a country while your jaw literally creaks every time you speak. But wait, the story gets stranger. He loved dogs so much that he named one of them Drunkard. Yes, that's true. Then came John Adams, who was so obsessed with taking long walks at 4 a.m. that he'd walk for miles before sunrise, sometimes alone, sometimes in the snow. People thought he was losing his mind, but he said it cleared his soul. Maybe that was his version of therapy before therapy existed. Thomas Jefferson, genius inventor, philosopher, and apparently a fashion rule breaker. He loved wearing slippers to important meetings, even when foreign diplomats visited. Imagine walking into the White House and the president greets you in fluffy slippers. Strange, but that's Jefferson. James Madison was the shortest president in American history, only 5 feet 4 inches and around 100 pounds. But this tiny man helped write the U.S. Constitution. They say never underestimate someone because of their size. Madison proved that literally. But you won't believe what comes next. James Monroe, during his inauguration, didn't say a single word to the crowd. His microphone didn't work, so he just waved awkwardly and left. The man literally started his presidency in silence. Talk about setting a mysterious tone. John Quincy Adams used to swim naked in the Potomac River every morning at 5 a.m. Reporters once stole his clothes while he was swimming, forcing him to negotiate an interview before they gave them back. Now that's journalism with dedication. Andrew Jackson fought over 100 duels with real pistols and was shot multiple times, but still survived. They say one bullet stayed lodged in his chest for years. Every president faces pressure, but Jackson took it quite literally. Martin Van Buren's weirdest quirk? He was the first president born as an American citizen. Everyone before him was technically British, but his accent was so thick, people often couldn't understand him. Even Congress once complained, "We can't follow what he's saying." William Henry Harrison gave the longest inauguration speech in history, nearly 2 hours in freezing weather, and died just 1 month later. His record speech cost him his life. Talk about dying for your words. John Tyler had 15 kids, and 2 of his grandsons are still alive today, nearly 200 years later. Let that sink in. His family tree just refuses to end. James K. Polk was so obsessed with work that he banned dancing, drinking, and laughter in the White House. The staff called him the most boring man in America. But hey, at least he got things done. Zachary Taylor refused to take the presidential oath on a Sunday. He said, God wouldn't approve. So for 1 whole day, the United States technically had no president. Imagine that, 24 hours of leaderless America. Millard Fillmore installed the first bathtub in the White House, and the rumor spread so wildly that people thought he invented it. Imagine being remembered not for politics, but for plumbing. Franklin Pierce memorized the names of every soldier in his regiment, but his own party refused to support him for re-election. Some called him too nice for politics. Maybe that's why he turned to reading horror novels after leaving office. James Buchanan, the only lifelong bachelor president, once bought an entire herd of elephants as a diplomatic gift, but forgot to send them. The elephants literally waited at the dock for months. Abraham Lincoln, tall, calm, and brilliant, also moonlighted as a professional wrestler in his youth. He lost only 1 match out of around 300. They called him Honest Abe. But maybe they should have called him the American Giant. Andrew Johnson made his own clothes, literally. He was a tailor before becoming president and even stitched his own suits while in office. No fashion designer needed, just a needle, thread, and presidential focus. Ulysses S. Grant, He once got a speeding ticket while riding a horse. And yes, he actually paid the fine. A president paying for horse speeding. That's integrity. Rutherford B. Hayes banned alcohol from the White House, so guests secretly spiked their drinks with fruit punch. They called it lemonade diplomacy. But wait, you'll laugh at this. His wife was nicknamed Lemonade Lucy. James Garfield could write in Greek with one hand and Latin with the other at the same time. Imagine that. But destiny had a dark twist. He was shot by a man who said, "God told me to do it." Weird doesn't even begin to cover this story. Chester Arthur was obsessed with clothes. He owned over 80 pairs of pants and changed outfits several times a day. The White House literally became a walk-in closet. Grover Cleveland was elected president twice, but not in a row. He was both the 22nd and 24th president, meaning America actually had only 46 presidents, but 47 presidencies. Confused? You're not alone. Benjamin Harrison was terrified of electricity. He refused to touch light switches because he thought they'd electrocute him. Sometimes he'd just sleep with the lights on. William McKinley loved carnations so much that he always wore one on his suit. The day he forgot he was assassinated, that flower became a symbol of eerie coincidence. Then came Theodore Roosevelt, the wildest of them all. He was shot during a speech, but continued talking for 84 minutes before going to the hospital. He literally said, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose." Imagine that kind of courage today. William Howard Taft was so large that he once got stuck in the White House bathtub. It took 6 men to pull him out. The next day, he ordered a custom giant tub for 6 people. Problem solved. Woodrow Wilson used to write love letters to his wife in ancient Greek. Hundreds of them. Historians say no one can fully translate them all. Maybe some things are meant to stay mysterious. Warren G. Harding gambled away the White House's official china set in a poker game. Yes, literal government property. But here's the twist. He won it back the next day. Calvin Coolidge loved animals so much that he had a raccoon named Rebecca living in the White House. She even had her own room. Imagine the Secret Service explaining that. Herbert Hoover spoke fluent Mandarin with his wife, and they used it to talk privately so the White House staff couldn't understand them. That's next-level privacy. Franklin D. Roosevelt collected stamps, over 1 million of them. He said it helped him clear his mind. A man leading America through war relaxed by sticking stamps on envelopes. Strange, but somehow peaceful. Harry Truman once tried to join the military under a fake name because he thought his eyesight was too bad. The officer recognized him and said, "You can't fool the Army." Dwight Eisenhower banned squirrels from the White House lawn. They kept digging up his putting green. The Secret Service literally chased squirrels for weeks. John F. Kennedy kept a coconut shell on his desk. It had a message he carved when he was stranded during World War II. That shell literally saved his life. And yet, few people know it even existed. Lyndon B. Johnson had phones installed in his bathroom so he could make calls while handling presidential business. Let's just say he took multitasking to another level. Richard Nixon loved bowling so much that he built an entire bowling alley under the White House. Some say he practiced at midnight, alone. Maybe that's how he dealt with stress. Gerald Ford was so athletic that he was once offered contracts by 2 NFL teams. But as president, he was mocked for falling downstairs. Irony at its finest. Jimmy Carter once reported a UFO sighting. Seriously, he said he saw something strange in the sky that defied explanation. A president admitting that? That's rare honesty. Ronald Reagan believed in astrology so strongly that he scheduled important events based on star alignments. Even the timing of his inauguration was chosen astrologically. George H.W. Bush was once the youngest pilot in the U.S. Navy. He was shot down and rescued by a submarine. He nearly died at 20, but lived to 94. Talk about divine protection. Bill Clinton played the saxophone live on TV, and his approval ratings shot up. Music literally saved his political image. George W. Bush had the lowest IQ of any modern president according to multiple jokes and hoaxes, but he was actually a Harvard MBA graduate. Never judge a man by memes. Barack Obama collected Spider-Man and Conan comic books as a kid and still reads them. Even presidents need heroes. Donald Trump doesn't drink alcohol, not a drop. After watching his brother die from addiction, he swore he'd never touch it. Behind the controversy, there's a strange discipline. And finally, Joe Biden, his weirdest quirk? He owns a collection of over 30 pairs of aviator sunglasses and treats them like sacred artifacts. People say he picks them based on his mood, from wooden teeth to bullet scars, astrology to UFOs. Each president carried a weird secret that shaped history in ways you'd never imagine. So next time someone says all presidents are the same, tell them the truth. They're all weird, but in completely different ways. And if you thought these were unbelievable, wait till you see what world leaders outside America have done. That's coming next. Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button, because every week we uncover the strangest, most unbelievable stories from around the world. And trust me, the next one might just blow your mind even more than this one. Let's get started.